I think the whole industry is in panic because they're saying, well, people are listening to it in the cars and everybody wants to customize their own radio, and so we need to jump on this, and we need. They're so reactive instead of kind of acknowledging that radio is great and they have these wonderful radio stations with local connections. And yeah, maybe sometimes I want to just put Pandora on because I want to run at a certain pace if I'm exercising. But really, sometimes I want to hear the local news. I want to hear my favorite DJs talking. And I think the panic of the industry as a whole is kind of taking away the fun of radio, and they're kind of killing themselves because they feel like they have to, but I don't think they do. Well, I love radio, and my whole company is based on radio. We've been doing that. I've been involved in radio for almost 30 years, and it makes me sad to see the way the industry is running away from itself. And if any plea can be given to the big radio broadcast companies to, stick with local radio and continue to invest in that, as they're looking at new ways to deliver the mechanism, I understand that, things are changing. Maybe they can just make the online radio as good as what it is on air. When they go to a commercial break, if they only have 2 commercials sold and it's an 8-minute break on the radio, fill it with some great, interviews or some other songs, or keep it interesting instead of just filling it with repetitive stuff.
I think the good experience comes when the medium is used creatively. And we talk about that all the time, that creative, at least in Fox's view, and in my eyes, creative wins. So as creatively as you can use the space is where it becomes effective. If you're using it as just a means of another distribution house, I don't think it's quite as effective. In other words, if you just take my audio spot that I run on terrestrial radio and play it on a digital space, I don't think that that's the proper use of the medium. And I think that's what we have been doing because that's what we're used to. But I think it needs to have a different tone. It needs to talk to a different audience, because what you're doing while you're driving in a car or listening to the radio in the afternoon or on your smartphone may be different than how you're doing it with a laptop or when you're actually at work, or the message needs to be specific to the medium.
I mean, radio is still a great medium. You get that local feel. That probably is the biggest piece that radio needs to hold on to. But again, at the same time, I think they need to grow in terms of the digital offerings. They need to look at, how they target a person and retarget, things like that. The reps themselves, again, just kind of need to be up to speed in both spaces and be able to really sell the platform as a whole or in individual pieces as well.
Being able to, in the early days of long haul, add engagement to awareness building. So in other words, being able to go from I push a message to you to the ability to begin to interact with you, to capture your cell phone or your email address or whatever it might be, and to be able to have a continuous dialogue with you. I believe the old line analog businesses have to get into that part of it. As the marketing mix shifts, although it's still whatever it is, 85-15, you got to get into that. And that's frankly where the money is, because then you can get into a level of attribution, meaning you heard this or saw this, I exchanged information with you and you ultimately bought, or you didn't buy, or you did these 4 other things and then you bought. But marketing ROI and the pressure on I'm spending this to get this will just continue to increase. And it's really the accelerant for this mix shift from broad-based to more targeted. So targeted not only works better, but it's more measurable, so you can figure out those things that aren't working and trim them out.